it was born out of a gap in the market and a real frustration that, we still hear from our customers today, that the availability of really good quality, really well-fitting clothing just wasn't there for that inclusive size market.
Hello and welcome. I'm Elizabeth Formosa, the founder of Fashion Equipped and devourer of all things fashion, business, and mindset. In this podcast, I'm speaking with thought leaders, change makers, and entrepreneurs about the business side of fashion and everything in between. Fashion Business Mindset is your front row seat to real stories from designers, brands, entrepreneurs, makers, and mentors. We'll discuss how to launch and grow a fashion business and give you insider access to the future of fashion. So let's do this together and ensure that you're equipped to make the fashion business your business. Welcome back to Fashion Business Mindset. My guest today is Jacklyn Rivera, the Creative Director of Commonry. Jack has over 15 years of experience in the fashion industry across a range of roles and brands that have shaped her leadership and management style. Known for a values-driven approach, Jack is passionate about empowering women and fostering inclusivity within the fashion industry. Her expertise spans across strategic leadership, team development, and driving forward-thinking initiatives that prioritise diversity and sustainable growth. Jack's commitment to creating meaningful change is at the heart of everything she does, making her a dynamic force in the industry. Commonry was established in 2020 and are proud to be an Australian-owned brand with a commitment to delivering premium wardrobe solutions for the modern woman. At Commonry's core, they embrace a timeless approach to design, ensuring their pieces offer a contemporary style that resonates with their community. With a focus on design elevation, from carefully curated fabrics to thoughtful details, Commonry's collections are crafted to elevate any wardrobe effortlessly. Commonry are committed to size-inclusive representation. They believe that fashion should be for everyone, regardless of shape or size. That's why they offer a range of sizes to cater to diverse body types, ensuring that every woman can find something that makes her feel confident and beautiful. Commonry currently offer a size range of 8 to 22, soon to be extended to a size 24. During our chat, Jack and I dived into the power of the Commonry community, inclusivity misconceptions, Commonry's creative process, their considered in-store experience, meaningful partnerships and advocates, and what's next for Commonry, including a You Heard It Here first. I've loved watching Commonry go from strength to strength and enjoyed every minute of my time with Jack, who is a true purpose-led leader. No doubt you will too. So let's dive in. Jack, welcome to the Fashion Business Mindset podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Elizabeth.
Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited to dive into all things Commonry today. But before we do, I'd love to hear a little bit about you, Jack. Could you share with our audience some insights into your journey in the fashion industry, what initially drew you to the industry, and how you ended up in your current career at Commonry?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a country girl. I was born and raised in Hamilton, which is in southwest Victoria. So growing up there, my upa was a tailor, and I guess that kind of exposed me to his little sewing room in the back of his house and his industrial sewing machine. And I just remember these massive like shears that he cut fabric with, and I loved the way that Umar and Upar dressed. They had that real European sort of sense in the way that they put their outfits together, and they looked always so polished, even, casually he would be wearing a beautiful shirt and slacks. So I suppose that's where initially my love of fashion came from. Obviously, growing up in the country, there wasn't a lot of opportunities in fashion. So in high school, I was fortunate enough that there was a great sewing class offered in 11 and 12. So I completed those, and I had a great teacher that really encouraged me to pursue a career in fashion. So from there, I enrolled in some smaller sort of TAFE courses in the area that did, fashion in illustration and a few more courses in sewing and construction. And then once I was about 24, I decided I needed to move to the big city to pursue it even further. So I enrolled in Box Hill TAFE, where I completed an advanced diploma of design and construction. And what was great about that course was that it was quite industry based. So there was a lot of practical work, and it got you sort of really ready to hit the ground running when you jumped into industry. So once I finished that course, I landed my first job, which was in wholesale.
Mm.
And so I worked in wholesale for probably about the first 6 years of my career. And what I loved about those roles in particular were that they gave me a really rounded experience. So obviously, there's less need for wholesalers now, but back then, we were an extension of fashion brands' businesses. And so we got to do a lot of things behind the scenes, like liaising with our vendors. One of the wholesalers I worked with had an amazing machine room where we had pattern makers, Gerber machines, we had actual seamstress in there that produced all of our fit samples. So that was a really great experience to start my career with. We also, learned a lot about the costing and negotiation process. And I met a lot of great people in that wholesale business that I now work with even later on today. You still see those great talents around. So it was a really great rounded experience. After a while, I really felt like I wanted to hone in on more of that design led part of the business. I suppose being in wholesale, because it is someone else's brand and vision, you are really just kind of helping them execute it. Whereas I wanted to be a bit more involved in the design process. So at around age 29, I was lucky and I got a role as a head of design in Adelaide at a little boutique label there. So again, working for that smaller brand, you got, your fingers in a lot of the pies of different aspects of the business. And I met some amazing people in that role too that, again, I'm still in contact with now. After that, I moved around a little bit. I came back to Melbourne and I worked with quite a large retailer that is a bit more on that mass produced scale. And I think that I'm really glad that I had those experiences because it kind of made me realize that that probably wasn't for me. And so then I moved into a senior design role, which then led me into a design manager role. And I stayed in that position for about 7 years and I loved it. I was working on women's wear and I learned so much about the design process and working with a really large, reputable Australian retailer. And then I had a baby. So I went on maternity leave. Yeah, but while I was almost at the end of the mat leave cover, I was approached by Carla Fitzpatrick, who's now the co-CEO of Brand Bank here, and she wanted to chat to me about this current position that I'm in now, which was creative director of Commonry. And I wasn't actively looking, but I went and had a chat with her. And funnily enough, because I was on mat leave, and obviously as a woman, your body changes a lot as you age after you have children. So I had had some frustrations myself with the fashion industry and clothing from that experience. And it just so happened that when she came to chat to me, I had this real fire in my belly about it. So it was actually like the perfect alignment at the time. And yeah, so I was really lucky that I was successful in that job. And here I am today, a year and a half in, a little more. And yeah, I'm loving it. I'm learning a lot.
Amazing. What a journey, Jack. You've brought so much experience into this role, from it being in your DNA from a young age to wholesale to being in a head design role and everything else in between. no doubt,
Mm.
touching all of those points of the industry, serving you well today in this leadership role. Now, Commonry has just gone absolutely next level. I thought you had been there for much longer. So, a year and a half in this role, and so much has happened in that time. Let's talk about
Yeah.
Commonry because it's an amazing brand with an amazing ethos. It's all about
Mhm.
empowering women. I'd love for you to share some insights into how the brand has successfully positioned itself in the market and how it's differentiated itself.
Yeah, so Commonry was born around 2020, so it's still quite a young brand. So it just started its fifth year. So we're constantly evolving, but I think that I really feel Commonry is a really unique niche brand. It was born out of a gap in the market and a real frustration that, we still hear from our customers today, that the availability of really good quality, really well-fitting clothing just wasn't there for that inclusive size market.
Yeah.
So when we talk about what makes Commonry successful or what sets us apart, it really is our commitment to representation, and that is across all of our marketing, but it's also across how we present in stores and online. So I think that there are brands out there that do a good job of being size inclusive, but I
Mm.
just don't think that there is a real a commitment to that. So when I talk about making sure that we show up across all of our channels, we ensure that we have that size 8 and size 22 and all the sizes in between available in all of our retail stores, in all of our concession stores, and online. So you won't get a shopping experience when you go into a store and say, I am looking for a size 20, and they say, oh, we don't stock that here, or that's only available online. We really wanted to bridge that gap and really make a wholesome shopping experience for those that have probably had quite the opposite in the industry. The empowering element really is it's something that we live and breathe. It starts with a highly engaged team. So that includes everyone here at head office, but it also includes everyone in our stores and in our customer service team. And I think that that is really what the DNA of Commonry is all about. When customers go into our stores or they chat to us online, we make sure that we are there giving them sound styling advice. We're giving them confidence. Some of the women that come into our stores have had probably pretty inefficient and poor shopping experiences in other brands.
Mm.
And so we really make sure that we give them a VIP treatment. Our store staff are so knowledgeable in our fabrics, our cuts, our fits. They are women. They are of all sizes and age ranges, so they can relate to the customers. They really push our customers in getting into a fitting room, trying things on that they probably wouldn't have looked at twice. And then from a digital perspective, the same with our customer service team. They will go above and beyond for customers to make sure that they're hunting down, maybe it's a favorite cut or color of something that has now sold out. They will go above and beyond to find that for them, whether it's in a store or our warehouse. And it's just really offering that excellent service level that sets us apart.
I absolutely love that. And I love that you shared, about the importance of the consistency across all touch points of your business. So, for example, it doesn't matter what store I walk into, I can get the size that I want. If the shopping experience online is the same. And as you rightly said, we don't find that everywhere. It can be quite disconnected or disjointed in terms of the experience. And I see that in your stores myself, or whether I walk into a department store that actually stocks Commonry. The customer service is
Mm,
certainly next level, and there's always a bit of a story to be told about the new collection or the brand itself. So I really love that
exactly.
community element of, I guess, what Commonry is doing, and it really stands out as a point of difference. Let's talk a little
Mhm.
bit more about the customer. So you spoke a little bit about her and her needs and what she's looking for. What
Mhm.
is the kind of communication or the lines of communication like? We know that community element is so important. How are you getting feedback from your customers outside of, the dialogue that's going on in store? Is there surveys that you send out? Do you do focus groups, events? How are you connecting on that deeper level with your customer?
Yeah, so like you said, there's a real sense of community with Commonry, and we have a really passionate and very engaged customer. We know that she has a real emotional connection to us. So, our biggest kind of forum for connecting with them is in our VIP events or our launches or summer or autumn winter campaigns. We invite our loyal customers to come and join us, as well as having some guest appearances as well. We know that our customer is age typically around that 45 plus. But we are really starting to see that next generation of shoppers come and they're being introduced to us via their mothers or friends that are shopping the brand, which is really what inclusivity means to us. And we're so proud of our brand for being able to offer that. And so, in these events that we host, we will get feedback from a range of things. And I was going to touch on it a bit later, but there's an example where I engaged the community about increasing our size range.
Hmm.
So I thought that we should really try to lead the way in making sure that we've got a good range of sizes available. So we're currently 8 to 22.
Yeah.
And my idea was that we would branch out from size 6 to 24. So we were having an event with some loyal customers, and we use them as a sounding board of, is this a good idea? Is this something that you want? And how should we approach it? And it was really humbling that there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And I think that's where we're really lucky that our customers are really loyal and passionate. So they will tell us when we get things wrong, and they will also, be our biggest cheerleaders when we get things right. So there's a real sense of, I suppose, ownership of the brand from our customers. So when I suggested that we actually go down to a size 6, but also up to a size 24, there was a resounding no for the size 6. And I was really surprised because, it's still, going to size 6 is still being inclusive, but because of that sense of ownership over the brand, and I guess that the market is so saturated for straight size options,
Hmm.
they, really feel like Commonry is theirs, it's for them. So all for going up to the size 24. Yeah, it was just a really interesting piece from our community to kind of go,
Mm.
no, and this is
Mm.
how we want you to do it. And the other thing was that we had always thought that we're better off to try something than to not do it at all. So we
Yeah.
initially thought maybe we'll try putting the sizes online. And that was also a resounding no. They said, unless you're going to commit and make sure it's available in all of your stores and online, then
Hmm.
don't do it, because we already have those options when we go into a store and someone says, oh, no, sorry, that size is online only. So they don't want that experience from us. They've been so helpful with how we approach things with our brand. And I think that's something that's it's really powerful. And again, that's what sets us apart, is that we have that option to really listen to our customers and our staff, our fit models, all the stylists that we work with. We have a
Yeah.
really good sort of network of people that can guide us.
Mm. And I think what you said there about listening, that's the important part, because a lot of brands will do lots of market research and lots of surveys. And again, they may do their focus groups. And at the end of it, the result may be still they're missing the mark in terms of responding to exactly what their customers want. So I think a brand like yours, you seem to be quite agile with what you're doing. So to be able to take that information and actually use it to serve your customers, at an elevated level is
Mhm.
amazing. I know that the creative process must be quite complex because you've got a lot to respond to. So, 8 to 22, and now you're looking at going to 24. Talk us through the creative process, Jack, and what that is like from end to end, because we know as you transcend different styles, different fabrics, and try and
Yeah.
make that work across a diversity of sizes and fits, it can get extremely complex. So, I'd love to know how you're approaching that with your team at Commonry.
Yeah, so I think from the creative side, I would say that the approach is no different to working on a straight size brand. So you still do all of the same research and trend analysis in terms of, setting up a color palette and a bit of a roadmap for the season.
Yeah.
The biggest difference is just that you have a few more considerations. So you can't be everything to everyone, but there are a lot of different body shapes out there, particularly when you do get into the bigger sizes. There's a lot more to consider in terms of bust sizes, waistlines. Some people have pear shaped bodies, triangular, hourglass. Some people have great legs that they want to show off. Some people have amazing arms. Like there's just so many things. So I guess having a diverse range of products. So when we're ranging, we always make sure that we're covering off sleeve lengths or necklines. We consider those sorts of elements in the design process. Quality has always been a pillar of focus for Commonry. So we have a really great fabric library that we're able to pull from. We tend to use a lot of the same great quality fabrics season after season, just because we know they last. So they're going to give the pieces in your wardrobe longevity. And it's also kind of like a core base for everyone to start their wardrobe building. The other thing that I would say makes us quite dynamic and unique is we fit on a size 16. So
Hmm.
in most brands, in fact, in every brand that I've worked for, we've always fit on a size 10. That's been the standard size. So coming to Commonry and fitting on the size 16, it's quite different. You have to retrain your eye to look at things in a different perspective. But I think that is what sets us apart, and that is how we get our fit so right. Again, it's also a great sounding board. That fit model comes in, she tells us exactly what she's feeling. We get a great sense from her. If she's loving something, then we can be like, okay, this is going to be a winner. Or if she feels like something's not looking great or isn't feeling right, it's then that we go back and rethink that design or make some changes. So I think that's probably, you know, there's just a few more considerations. But in terms of the actual creative process, it's actually not too much different.
Mm. I love that you've kind of demystified that, because we
Mm,
do, have this ethos out there that it's all too hard, that,
yeah.
the construction side is quite complicated. There's certain things you can't do. So you can become quite prohibited in terms of, design and silhouette. But it
Mm,
sounds like you're breaking down all of those barriers. And as you said, the creative process is the same. Just got to be very,
mm,
very mindful from a fit perspective, and you've been able to solve that or help with that by having a fit
mm,
model. That's a 16,
mhm.
as you said, that is not typical. So there's certainly things that you're doing differently. Um, I'd love to hear about, the storytelling side of your brand. So we know that inclusivity is right at the core and the heartbeat of the brand, not just in the product, but also the marketing and, of course, the in-store experience. Are there any, we touched on one misconception, are there any other misconceptions that you would like to demystify today around inclusive fashion, and perhaps, some of the challenges that the industry thinks we're facing, but you're at the front line of this on the daily, and perhaps, you're moving through this with a bit more ease than most?
I definitely have quite a few misconceptions. Firstly, is that there's a real negative connotation around curve, plus size, those sorts of words. For some reason, we've been, I guess, trained to think that that's bad or wrong or not for us. So even I have been guilty of this in the past, where you think that, a plus size brand is for old people or daggy women. That everything is a caftan, it's all bright colors, it's in poor quality jersey. That's a huge misconception, especially now. There are so many brands that are proving the industry otherwise. Another one is that it costs more.
Yeah.
So far, in my experience, working on straight size brands all my life and doing a lot of costing and negotiating, I actually haven't seen a difference in costs. So I don't really know where that comes from. I guess, the assumption is that the consumption is higher, but I mean, you can make it work. The only restraint you really have when it comes to consumption is the width of a weaving machine or a knitting machine. So a fabric can only be a certain width. So if you want a really full hemline, you might have to put a centre back seam or something like that in it. But
Yeah.
aside from that, there's really no other constraints. And the other misconception is that it's only for big people, and I think that's where Commonry is also proving the industry wrong. It's that you can have a really great fashionable range available for a really diverse range of women. They don't have to be plus size and they don't have to be straight size.
Yeah.
It's kind of fit for all. One of the biggest challenges that I've come across since working at Commonry, and it's really opened my eyes, is that women are grossly underrepresented in the fashion industry. I think that, all our lives we've been marketed to be a certain size, look a certain way. And I guess that is the real challenge, I believe, is retraining us all from years of damage done by marketing. I think that the talent pool for curve women is a lot smaller than straight size women, which is really alarming because the average Australian woman is a size 16.
Yeah.
So if marketing is only showing size sixes, eights, and tens, how is that resonating with the audience? And I think that's something again that Commonry has always stayed really true to, and it's one of our non-negotiables that we will always have a representation of curve models. I think that there was some research done in like 2022 where 81% of Australian women didn't feel represented by the Australian fashion industry, which is
Mm,
just wild to me. That's
mm,
81% of the market that aren't seeing themselves in your campaign imagery. They can't visualize themselves wearing that dress. They don't resonate with it. So I would say that, particularly when we talk about models, so for campaigns and things like that, we have partnered with some great agencies that also share the same values and pillars as Commonry, where they only represent talent that are curve or a diverse range of ages and sizes. So icon management is one that comes to mind with Chelsea Bonner heading that
yeah.
up. She's phenomenal and lives and breathes it as well. Everybody in Queensland actually has a really great selection of curve models that are really authentic women as well.
Yeah.
So I think that, it's only a matter of time and these sort of agencies will really start to grow and flourish. And I hope that other agencies do catch up.
Yeah.
In terms of the influencer space, I find that a lot trickier. I think that the next generation of young women are a lot more confident in their own skin and with their own bodies, and they don't really care as much about, a number or a size, which is really beautiful to see. The problem with that is for Commonry is that they are mostly quite young influencers. So when I talk about representation, I'm also conscious of age representation as well, because I think that there is a whole nother conversation of women over a certain age that really feel like they're forgotten about and they really don't see themselves represented in any imagery either, or sometimes they get store experiences that aren't the quality that they should be. I think that, that's going to be great the more sort of that younger generation are up and coming. But I do think that there is a real miss of, older curve talent in terms of influencers. So it'd be great to see that kind of boom. There's some great ones out there, but yeah,
Mm.
it's so much smaller than regular straight size women.
Yeah, yeah, some great insights there. I'd like to
Yeah,
take this a little bit further now and talk about
yeah.
brand advocates and partnerships and the importance of those in terms of, again, like really reaching your customer and having some relatable advocates and people, talking about commonry quite widely, across the
Mm,
marketplace. You've partnered with Yelena Dokic for quite a while now. How
mm,
important has that relationship been? And even, relationships in the future of that kind
mhm.
of caliber, how important do you think that is in terms of really shaping, the Common Rebrand's identity and messaging?
I mean, you couldn't have found a better alignment with Commonry and Yelena. We just speak the same language. She is everything that Commonry, aspires to, and she really does live and breathe body positivity, even body neutrality. She's very open with having good and bad days, times where she feels fantastic, times when she doesn't. She also is a huge advocate of not letting a size or a body type represent who you are as a person. She always leads with kindness. It was a no-brainer when that partnership came up. And it actually came up because she's a huge fan of the brand. So
Mm.
there was a time in her life where she didn't feel great. She wasn't herself. She is in the public eye a lot, and people can be really cruel because there is this negative connotation around, people in larger bodies. So she came to us looking for something to make her feel really good and empowered. And she found exactly that in the fitting rooms. People styled her up. She loved all the clothing. She bought it. And back then, that was, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago. And she just came out of her own, want to find something that suited her. And since then, she's been wearing us in the public eye. And so we just naturally reached out to her and were like, hey, you look amazing. Let's see what we can do. So yeah, that's how that sort of came about. And I think that she really gives women the courage and the confidence to embrace who they are as people, embrace their fashion and their style. And that's really what Commonry is all about. Another partnership that I've loved working on was last year we partnered with Taram Brumpet, who was
Mm.
the 2023 Australian of the Year. And again, like, not only is that an amazing partnership from a values perspective, but also just from that educational point of view, the work that she does with her partner, Dr. Zali, is so incredible and will certainly change the messaging for the future generations. She is all about embracing who you are as a person. And when we did a little workshop with her, she gave us this piece of advice, and she gave our community this one piece of advice that she's been giving to her students. And that is, if we could just stop commenting negatively on our bodies, just stop. So we all came back to the office, and that was it. That was our mantra. And since then, none of us say anything negative towards our own bodies, let
Mm.
alone anyone else's. So it really does change those inner voices. It changes how you feel, it changes how you show up. And I think that that is so powerful. And it's exactly what drives these emotions that give that connection to commonry.
It is so powerful to have a mantra like that, because I think we all have those inner voices playing out. But I was fortunate enough to be at one of your Commonry events and had the pleasure of hearing Taryn and Yelena and also Chelsea Bonner on a
Yep.
panel with yourself that you moderated. And
Yep.
I remember Taryn saying something similar. It was like, could we just stop mentioning size kind of altogether? And I kind of
Hmm.
did relate it straight back to my own experience, as you do, because I've been a size
Mm.
6 to a size 16 and everything in between over the journey.
Right.
And you do notice that when you're on the smaller side, it's when you get the comments. Someone will walk in the room and they'll go, "Oh, you've lost weight." And it's like the first, and there's no
Yeah.
harm meant by that. It's just an observation, and
Mm.
it might say, "Oh, you're looking well. Have you lost weight?" But
Mm.
it kind of hit me when Taryn was speaking on your panel. I was just like, yeah, it needs to be dropped as part of the
For
narrative.
sure.
It's
Yeah.
just because I think the person on the receiving end, like, you kind of start to judge yourself. You're like, oh, okay, well, what did I look like the
I
last time
didn't
that
look,
person
yeah,
saw me?
exactly.
And it's the last thing any of us need.
Now being a parent myself, I've
Yep.
really started to check myself on how I speak to appearance and looks with my own child as well, because, I'm sure you were the same, but we grew up, our mothers were always on the latest fad diets. They were
Mm.
always telling us that we had to be a certain size, or, there's just this whole cultural element around what we should look like and what healthy looks like as well.
Yeah.
So I think you're so right. Like, I know it comes from a good place most of the time when people say things like that, but we actually just need to stop talking about size in
Yeah.
general. And that's another great point, that when you go into store, our staff don't talk to size as a They don't say, "What size are you?" They say, "What number do you usually take?" And that's
Mhm.
because it is just a number, and all that does for them is indicate what number they put in the change room with you and whether you need to go down to a lower number or go up to a higher number to get the right fit. It has nothing to do with you as a person,
I
and
love
that's the narrative that we really wanna push.
I love that. What number are you? I
Mm.
I've had moments where I've walked into store and the shop assistant might have said to me, "Oh, we've got bigger sizes out the back if you need them." And I'm just like,
Ah,
head down. I might just walk straight
thank
out, I
you.
think.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah.
being mindful, and as you said, it's just don't put a number on it. Don't we don't have to go there. You don't have to define it. Is there
Yeah, it just
anything
has
else that our audience could expect if they walked into a Commonry store? Like that's one thing that you're doing differently. Is there anything else in terms of the store experience that kind of keeps your ethos going through the business?
because the store staff are so passionate and relatable to the customers that come in, there's a real personal point of view. They know most of their customers by name. They have a little book that they write people's number down in and things like that. Like, it's a really beautiful connection that they start to build with our customers. And I think that's so valuable. And, going back to what you were saying about the marketing piece, we know what Commonry means to our customers. I think that where we can be a bit more clever with our marketing is to actually take the customer on that journey with us. So you might in the future from us that we might be profiling some of our customers because they are exactly who we think about when we're designing at Commonry. They're exactly who we want to market to. We know that there are women that go into our stores that see each other in the fitting rooms and go, "Oh my God, you look amazing." And that's who we want to be talking to. We've had so many customer insights coming back where there's a woman that lives actually across the road from our head office, and
Yeah,
she's a VIP customer, and I chat to her a lot, and she was saying that she ran into two other women that live nearby, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, you look amazing. What brands do you wear?" Because they were all of the similar size, similar age, but they just didn't know where to shop. So she has
yeah,
now introduced them to a range of brands, and that's what it's all about for us. Like,
yeah, yeah.
just that connection with customer community, our stores, our digi team, everything. It's like, yeah, that's what empowering women is.
Amazing, amazing. And you've just mentioned your team there. Who's on the team, Jack? Like, how big's your design team? And of course, you've got marketing and stores, but perhaps the team that you're working on with on the daily.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So we have the design team is made up of myself, and then we have a senior designer and a design assistant. And then we also have an accessories design assistant. Then there is a garment tech,
Yeah,
a production manager, and that's kind of the little design team.
yeah,
We have a merchandise planner and a junior planner.
yeah,
And then in the marketing team, we have a graphic designer, we have a PR representative, we have a social specialist, and a communications and marketing manager as well. And then we have a digital team. So there's an e-commerce digital manager, and we also have a art director for all of our e-com shoots.
amazing, amazing. I thought it might have been a leaner team, but that sounds like quite a robust team, which is great. And how
Yeah.
many stores do you have now?
We have 7 concept stores
Yeah,
and then roughly about 35 concession stores throughout Myer and DJs.
yeah.
And then we have our online platform as well as the Iconic.
Amazing. Are there any plans to open up more stores? Can we get a little you heard it here first
Yeah.
on the storefront or not?
Well, we've just opened a new store in Brighton. So that is our newest addition. It only opened like 2 weeks ago, and that's been fantastic. We don't have anything else on the cards yet, but I do have some other little sneak peeks that I can let you in on.
Amazing. We're gonna
Um,
get to that.
yep.
We're gonna get to that. Conscious fashion is a key focus for our industry. Can you touch on what Commonry is doing to integrate conscious fashion into its collections?
Yeah. So we make a conscious decision to only use natural fibers in our products. So we use a lot of cotton and linen. We are really focused on that beautiful, good quality fabrication so that we are creating longer lasting fashion, which is quite sustainable in itself. We've recently launched our partnership with Good Earth Cotton, which is a real, milestone for Commonry. It's one of the first really big sort of sustainable attributes that we've got attached to one of our clothing lines, and that's in our core demi shirt. So that's using regenerative Australian cotton from Australian cotton farms, and it's able to be traced back with the fibre trace. And then there's little things along the way that we do, like reducing plastic bags that we use for buttons, spare buttons, and things like that. On all of our labels, we've removed any plastic toggles or pins, and they're just now hand tied to garments so that you're kind of reducing all of that extra waste that sort of comes along with fashion.
I love that. Really considered design there as well. You mentioned the word longevity. I think, investment
Mm.
pieces in our wardrobes, that in itself is really important when it comes to conscious fashion. Love that you're
Mhm.
using natural fabrics and the Good Earth Cotton Initiative. What a great organisation to be working with
Yeah,
as well.
it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now, Jack, your role is dynamic and no doubt demanding at times. I ask this question to all of my guests. I'm sure you know it's coming. Now, what practices and routines or support systems do you have in place that help you to maintain a strong mindset in your well-being that allow you to operate at your best?
So I mentioned I'm a mum, so I have a toddler. He's about
Yep.
2.5 now.
Mhm.
So spending time with him really fills my cup. It keeps me
Yep.
very grounded as well. And I have a rule that, we try to put all digital devices away for a certain amount of hours a day, especially during meal times and things like that, to really build that connection together. Meditation is another practice that I'm still working through. Often we have a huge mental load in some of these roles, really trying to switch off the brain. I use an app called Waking Up by Sam Harris,
Mm.
which is really good. It's like there's a 30-day introduction that kind of teaches you the process of meditation. So that's been amazing. This might sound contradictory because I have a toddler, but sleep, getting as much sleep as possible. I once listened to this amazing podcast by Matthew Walker, and he's like a neurologist and a sleep scientist, and just the importance of the brain resetting in sleep. Yeah. And you can really tell when you're sleep deprived that you're not firing on all cylinders. So, trying to get the full 8 hours sleep if you can. I also really enjoy reading. So, I do a lot of reading on leadership. Brene Brown is obviously a real favorite of mine. So, that sort of self awareness piece and the psychology of it all, I really enjoy it. And I think it does help with your day to day and how to show up and lead a team of
I
really great
absolutely
people. Mm.
love that. Great insights. I hadn't heard of the Waking Up app.
Yeah, Waking Up by Sam Harris. It's really good.
Okay. There's a new one. I'll
Yeah.
be checking that out straight after
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yes. Sleep and meditation is certainly my thing. I haven't mastered the art of either. I'm definitely a
Yep.
committed, devoted practice at practicing it, but that disrupted sleep at night. I've got the active mind that's always on the go,
Yes.
but the magnesium and the meditation certainly
Yes.
help. But it's so
Absolutely.
important, isn't it, to, especially working at the level that you are in your role, juggling, all of the things, and of course,
Mm.
being, the mum of a toddler. Um, so important. So great insights there. Now, Jack, what's next for Commonry?
So, we've talked a lot about the challenges, and one of the biggest thing was the representation and the talent pool that's
Yeah.
available in Curb. So I'm very excited for you heard it here first. But Commonry is about to launch its first casting call. So we are partnering with Icon Management, Chelsea Bonner. Yelena will also be a spokesperson for the campaign. And then we've got some other great mentors like Tash Sefton, who's iconic in the fashion industry, and Jess King, who is a curve model herself. And she also got her break winning a competition. So the idea is that, we really want women who have probably beautiful women that are above a size 12 out there that have probably been told their whole life that, they could never be a model because they're too big or they're not the right fit. So we're here to break down that narrative and give them a shot. We would love for anyone and everyone to apply, any age, any size. It's all about empowering women to really embrace their bodies and their style. So, yeah, we're very excited to launch that.
That is so exciting. That's exciting. And
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to now be in that, I guess, that thought leadership position of, being able to give these, I guess, open up a platform, right? As you said, perhaps women
Mm,
who have never thought they could step into this role in the past. So, how
totally.
will the casting call play out? Like, when are you going to launch that? How will it be rolled out across your channels?
Yeah, so we'll start to market it on the 27th of March. So
Yeah.
entries online will open up as of that date. And all you need to do is take a couple of photos, and the website will tell you, portrait, landscape, all those sorts of things, a quick video, and then just what it would mean to you to be the face of Commonry or why you wanted to apply. And then from there, we will shortlist some people and we'll get them in for an actual casting call with the mentors. The mentors will take them through everything and anything they need to know about modeling, walking, what photo shoots are in, what's involved in the photo shoots. We'll style them. The prize is a 3-year modeling contract with Icon Management. So you will get
Wow.
representation for 3 years. You will be the face of our August campaign, which is our spring launch. So you'll be in a Commonry campaign, which is incredible. You'll get a little wardrobe to take home with you. And we might even partner with Melbourne Fashion Week in the future. And hopefully, we could do a diverse, inclusive runway where you could get the chance to walk in that runway as well. So there's a lot happening, and I hope that it's a real success and that encourages a lot of women to apply, because I'd love to do this as a yearly thing and really start to
Yeah.
build that talent pool up. Yeah, because the industry needs it.
Oh, no doubt. And no doubt it will be a success. What an exciting opportunity. I can't wait to share this with our audience and across our entire community as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I mean,
no
yeah,
problem.
that's a pretty big, you heard it here first, everyone. Now, Jack, looking ahead, what excites you most about the future of fashion, particularly in the inclusivity space?
Yeah, I think that what excites me is bringing the customers on that journey. I feel like there's this real sort of groundswell happening with the way marketing is sort of headed at the moment, where it's a lot more organic, it's a lot more authentic. So I'm excited that customers will now be a big part of that journey. It obviously is great for a brand like Commonry, who already has that fantastic connection, but I think that we're giving power to the people, and it really will change the way that fashion brands show up, I think. And there'll be less tolerance for brands that do things tokenistically.
I absolutely love it. There's a purpose led ethos to what yourself and your team and your brand are doing. And I think that's the definition of the future of fashion. Jack,
Mm.
thank you for being so generous with your time and sharing all of those insights about Commonry and, where you're operating in the industry at the moment. We've absolutely loved seeing you step in front of the camera as well over the last few months. I love seeing you pop up on my Instagram feed. Jack, where can people connect with you? What's the best platform if anyone wants to reach out to you personally?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is probably the best place. Jack Rivera is my name. You can also get in contact through any of our social channels at Commonry, and the customer service team can put you directly in contact with me as well.
Yeah, amazing. We'll put all of those links in the show notes, everyone. Jack, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations on
you.
everything you've achieved so far, and can't wait to see this all go next level. Very exciting time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Fashion Business Mindset. We'd love to stay connected. Fashion Equipped is a leading Melbourne based consultancy, partnering with fashion and lifestyle brands, retailers, wholesalers, and industry leaders globally. We specialise in strategic advisory, growth planning, and brand elevation, empowering fashion businesses to scale with confidence and impact. I invite you to head to fashionequipped.com.au to join our mailing list and receive the monthly edit, your go-to source for industry insights, business optimization strategies, and free trend reports. While you're there, explore our consulting services, our online learning and mentoring programs. We'd also love to connect on Instagram. You can follow us at Fashion Equipped and at Fashion Business Mindset for more industry insights and inspiration. We're here to help you navigate the business of fashion and take your brand to the next level.
This is a Guide Your Light network production, creating podcasts with purpose.